What's up, everybody? My name is Chris Branham, and welcome to another session of Strategies for Creatives. Today, we are talking about clarity in the clutter. Let's brainstorm. All right, so we all know that clarity is everywhere, but we also know that clutter is everywhere. And what do I mean by that? Clarity is just information and understanding. But clutter is just an abundance of things that is around you, in your mind, on you, on your person. And it's just things that are extra, right? They might not even need to be added or needed, but they're there. So we, as individuals and as people, we tend to add clutter to our lives. An abundance of clutter might look like a hoarder, where they just have abundance of things. It's just everywhere. It's hard to find a path because they just have a whole bunch of stuff. You might not be considered a hoarder, but you're trying and you're struggling to figure out, how can I make this creativity muscle work? And that usually happens because you have too much stuff going on, or too much stuff around you or in your head that you have not removed. How often are you utilizing your time and your efforts to think on creative things or to jumpstart your creative things? And when you're trying to jumpstart it, that means there's something in the way. Think of a car and you're trying to turn the ignition and something's not going, or it's just kind of like stuck in a process and it just never turns over. Usually there's a blockage, or something's not connected right, or something's broken. That same issue happens in your creative muscles. It happens when you try to start something and you're struggling to figure it out because you're not utilizing it and you haven't done quality assessments. Assessments come before you utilize the car, before you turn it on. This is daily checkups. This is things that happen on your day to day. When I start a project, do I have all the items that I need? Or I'm searching for tools and, items and apps to help me do that, or have I established everything? That also weeds out the clutter, because if I'm searching for something and I haven't established what I need, there's clutter there. There's confusion, there's chaos, and chaos only comes with clutter. But if you have clarity, that means you have understanding, and everything that you don't need has been moved away, and now you can focus on what's necessary. So a good example of that is, look at your phone. Take a good look at your phone, all the apps. Are they necessary? Do you utilize them on a day-to-day? Do you utilize them in a month, in a year? If they are there and you have not utilized them, I would encourage you to remove the clutter. I just yesterday cleared out all of the spam that was coming to my email, but it was also things that were not spam, that were subscriptions that I was not using. Scroll down to the bottom and remove the subscriptions. Unsubscribe. That is additional clutter. Those are things that are going to be bothersome, that are going to affect your day-to-day and how you think and how you maneuver. So whatever is not necessary, where you are now, remove it. That's considered clutter. Clarity only comes when you are focused on what's necessary and you're doing that thing. You're not allowing other things to take in that space or take that environment. You're only focused on what you need to do now. So how I was able to remove clutter had to start with a few things. The first thing is, I had to be confident. So I had to know what was necessary and what I was good at. My creativity, my talents, my gifts. Once I established those, now I was able to understand, what other things do I need? So when somebody came to me and had an idea, or a project or event or something they wanted me to go to, I could easily say no, because I knew exactly what I needed to do. I was confident in my area. And the only way you build confidence is doing. So you have to be, flexible enough to remove other things in order to focus on what's necessary. So when you realize what's necessary, say no, because that's going to be the easiest thing for you to do, to remove clutter and not allow additional things to come in. That'll also tailor what you watch. That'll tailor what you read. That'll tailor your input, and it'll also help with your output. So what things you want to come out of a situation or a project or an event is going to be based on what you allow in. So if you're watching extra television shows and movies and sports, and your focus is not that, or it should not be that, you'll be surprised when you tailor and remove those things, how much focus you'll have in order to produce. Then you also need understanding. I mentioned it earlier before, but understanding is going to come with you actually doing more for yourself, and that's personal growth. That's also understanding. That's also creating, on your in your downtime and focusing on those things that will now be helpful again for your input. So what you're putting into yourself, is it personal development? Is it education about where you want to go or the environment that you want to impact? Is it about a job or an entrepreneurial goal or a new client? Those are things that you want to now invest in yourself rather than investing other things that be considered clutter. And then the other thing is, you don't want to wing it, meaning you don't want to fly by the seat of your pants, not knowing exactly what's necessary. So I had to make sure whatever I was doing, I was all in. When you're all in, there is no room for clutter. Think about a sports car or anything that's going to be raced or on some type of track and they're looking to win. There's no need for extra seats. There is bare bones. There's no seat covers. There's just basic amount of information. So when you think about how fast you want to move, remove everything that's going to weigh you down. And that is what clutter really is. Another part about this is people can be considered clutter. So think about that. Who is around you that is weighing you down from where you want to go? And if they're weighing you down, that means you might want to really consider who should be a part of whatever you're doing and who should be in your environment right now. Now, that's going to be up to you. I'm not saying you just need to go through and just start weeding out and cutting people off, but definitely take some time and realize, what are they doing? How are they offering you, momentum, or there's some type of reciprocity within your relationship that's propelling you to where you want to go. If there's no propulsion from that, then you might want to see, is that a weight? Is that clutter? And also in your mind, are you thinking about things that aren't necessary? Are you worried about things? Are you spending too much thought in areas that don't even matter to what you're trying to do? I had to remove a lot of stuff in my life. And I even cleaned up my space because I didn't want extra stuff that didn't mean anything and it wasn't a part of my focus. Either I removed it or threw it away, or I packaged it and now I had to compartmentalize it and say, I will return to this at its appointed time. But if it was not appointed, I had to remove it. And then also, one thing that most people don't consider is get your finances in order. This is one of those things that will creep up as a clutter moment because you don't have systems in place. When your finances are straight, you would be surprised how you do not think about nothing else other than what you want to get done and you want to get resolved. But if your finances are a little helter-skelter, more than likely, they'll be taking up a lot of your mental space, even emotional space, and sometimes your physical space, because now you're worried about it or you got to get a second job, etc. When you're preparing to remove clutter, make it make sense. Hit me up in the chat if you guys got any questions. I'd love to hear from you and figure out how I can help you remove the clutter. Peace.